Amber Heard will be testifying in the Johnny Depp trial this week. As it continues, what do we learn about addiction, relationships, and the increasingly bizarre spectacle of celebrity? Hello there, you 5.6 billion awakening wonders. Together we grow, the light shines brighter, we awaken together. If you don't subscribe to this channel yet, subscribe to this channel now. And if you ain't turned on the notification bell, clanging away in your mind continually, dinging away on your phone, never letting you have a moment to yourself to reflect, then turn it on now if you'd be so kind. Let's have a look together at the ongoing Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial. We did a video about it last week, but the spectacle continues, the interest continues. What is it about this trial that has captivated the world's attention? Is it because the coronavirus pandemic has acceded into the background? Is it because people can't take ongoing horror of Ukrainian war reportage? Is it that we continue ultimately to be magnetized towards pain and suffering? Something about it draws us in. Let's have a look at some of the coverage from our old friends on the mainstream media, who, as you know, I believe we can rely on for versions of the truth almost any time, day or night.
All eyes continue to be transfixed.
It's not very nice that your eyes are transfixed on something, is it? That means that you've got no choice, that your eyes have sort of been glued to it. And in a sense, that's an accurate piece of reporting because you can't look away. Have you ever been in a hold-up on a freeway or motorway, and then when you've got to the point, realise that it's on the other side of the road, and the only reason that there's a traffic jam is because people are slowing down to look? There was no actual obstacle. This is a curious time for our culture, and a lot of things are circling around this trial. A lot of emotions, a lot of unconscious energy is being processed. A lot of fear, a lot of loathing, and given that it's Johnny Depp, who usually plays Hunter S. Thompson about once a month, is a good thing.
On the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard $50 million defamation trial.
Best thing is that defamation and defecation conveniently rhyme. So there'll be a good hip-hop song about this one day.
Welcome everyone to Entertainment Tonight.
Also, welcome everyone to Entertainment Tonight. Welcome. Let's have a look at these poor bastards' lives falling apart. Like there's still the sort of politeness and sort of grace and protocols as if you're being welcomed into someone's house. Come into our house. Now look at Johnny and Amber. They've fucked their lives up. Look at this. There's their buttholes, look. Beep, beep.
Can we just be honest? We can't look away.
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
We can look away. We can and we must. Surely at some point we must turn within and recognise that we're projecting our own inner angst onto this matter. But you're talking about it now, Russell. I know. I'm in there with you. I'm in the cyclone. I'm trapped in the hurricane myself.
From the ex's former agent, Christian Carino.
What is your understanding of why Mr. Depp lost Pirate 6?
It was related to the accusations that Amber has made.
In a sense, it's an absolutely identifiable and recognisable situation. All of us know people whose relationships or marriages break down. All of us recognise the complexity when you listen to both sides of the story, that you're dealing with human beings that are fallible and flawed and that will ultimately break down, who are incapable of being perfect. And you know, don't you, from your own life, that it's in your relationships where you suffer the worst aspects of yourself and the other person. I'm really lovely at perfect strangers. The less I know you, the more you're like me. But in my home, where I'm confronted with my inadequacies and insecurities, these things are processed in real time, unfiltered. So we all recognise that aspect of it. I suppose what's troubling is to see the whole thing sort of soaked in glitter and lit up in limelight and turned into entertainment and monetised. When it becomes about defamation of character, which is literally what it's about, that defamation of character has to be tied to loss of earnings. So suddenly we're looking at a world where all of the metrics are supplied by financial barometers. It's interesting, isn't it? Because when we talk about fundamentalist ideologies, that we usually mean something religious and something abstract, without recognising that we already live within one, where every decision we make, every opinion we form, our perspectives are cultivated and sculpted by economic models, where economics meets the culture.
A longtime employee of Johnny Depp has testified that Amber Heard told him that defecating in the former couple's bed in 2016 was a, quote, practical joke gone wrong.
With that music playing. Defecating in the bed was a practical joke gone wrong. Do-do-do-ba-do-do.
Defecating in the former couple's bed in 2016.
I'm shitting on your pillow. I'm weeping like a willow. Where did our love go wrong?
Was a, quote, practical joke gone wrong.
I think if a practical joke includes shitting in a bed, where is that funny? Thinking about my own life as a drug addict, I ain't ever thought it was funny to shit in a bed. It's always been something of a tragedy.
During his live video call testimony on Thursday, Starling Jenkins spoke out about a past incident that occurred when the Aquaman actress allegedly defecated in the Pirates of the Caribbean star's bed.
So, okay, this is reality. The pandemic's just ended. The war in Ukraine is ongoing. None of us trust our government, big businesses, or the media. And another thing also, the star of Aquaman has shat in the star of Pirates of the Caribbean's bed. Allegedly. My favourite bit was when Johnny Depp was saying how it couldn't be a teacup Yorkie. They're very small dogs. I've lived with these dogs for years. Their anuses are like little tear ducts. This was a feces that could only have come from someone in Aquaman. Allegedly.
Saying that Heard had told him it was a, quote, horrible practical joke gone wrong.
I don't see a version of that joke where it's where it's a success to you. Like where it's like, oh, nice one, like it. The thing is with a practical joke is that there has to be a moment where you go, not really, it was just a practical joke, right? So in the practical joke where you've shat on someone's bed, what's the equivalent of that? You've got to be, I didn't really shit on your bed. I would not shit on your bed. Shitting on someone's bed is not funny. If the end of the practical joke is, I did actually shit on your bed, that's not a practical joke. That's, you've shat on the bed. What's the reveal? Like, ta-da! There's got to be some sort of relief. You're not letting the tension out. The tension's still there. On the bed. Stinking.
Johnny Depp had previously taken the stand a day earlier on Wednesday, where he also testified about the alleged incident, explaining he was shown a picture of the bed, saying on his side of their bed there was, quote, human fecal matter.
Johnny Depp's got to say that on court. Oh God, it's so terrible. It's so terrible and awful and ridiculous, the world of celebrity. I feel sort of like a PTSD around like remembering my own experiences of fame, having to look at a picture of it. And there's my wife, Susan, and here are our dogs. There's me bungee jumping. There's a shit on your side of the bed. I have someone out of Aquaman. What was that last one?
Saying that his initial response to the situation was that he laughed.
Well, there you go. Successful joke. Well done.
Heard previously claimed the couple's dogs, 2 Yorkshire Terriers, were responsible for the incident.
This joke went through. It's like a murder or something, wasn't it, that practical joke? I thought it would be funny. It wasn't me. It was the Yorkshire Terriers. I'll see you in court. It's gone right out of hand.
Grainy body cam footage was also shown from the night cops received a domestic violence call in 2016.
Now it's gone from Judge Judy to CSI. How many entertainment formats do you want to wrap around this human misery?
But is Johnny distracted? This clip of the actor doodling a portrait on a Post-it went viral on TikTok.
It's better than my wife's doodle, I'll tell you that. Her doodle's stuck out the bedroom. At least when I doodle, I do it in ink.
And remember how Amber seemed to be copying Johnny's courtroom fashion?
Copycat fashion.
Many thought she was trolling him, but the psychologist explained it could be another symptom.
Look at those ties. See this tie, this tie. The problem, I think, as well, as Marshall McLuhan said, is the medium is the message. So it's the same little box or same little screen that we end up looking at. There's 1 minute telling us about some terrible tragedy, some war, some pandemic, and we're continually being stimulated. It's difficult to assess and categorize the criteria by which we judge reality. It's all just bombarding us. We're not really evolved to deal with this level of stimuli, that even things like war and pandemic, which are, sort of serious things with grave consequences, let alone this peculiar kind of theatre. These things, I guess, we are evolved to deal with on a localised scale, groups of 100 people, 100 other little primates just like us. We're not evolved to deal with this saccharine, overstimulating, methamphetamine media continually kind of jolting us, defibrillating us into states of anxiety and fear. And I think ultimately nihilism, because this is ultimately a spectacle. Whilst there is real meaning to be found, addiction is a serious subject, domestic abuse, which is alleged here, is a serious subject, the breakdown of a relationship is a serious subject. The whole thing is packaged in so much triviality, so much titillation, scatology, that it's very difficult to know what's real in the world anymore, particularly as you go from 1 minute watching this is the death toll for the war in Ukraine. This is like Amber Heard's alleged to have shot on a bed. Pandemic, wear masks, don't wear masks. Like, how are we meant to trust these media machines? How are we meant to trust their own emotions? Well, I'll tell you as best I can. Recognise it as a spectacle. Recognise that everything that comes through it is to a degree a spectacle. That's not to say that everything you see on the news is not true. That's to say that everything on the news has to be assessed as entertainment, because when they're presenting it to you, they know they need to entertain you. Otherwise, you won't look at it. I'm even aware of doing that right now on this channel, creating content that hopefully you'll stay with. Watch, like, subscribe, all of our requirements, economic and ideological, as content providers. I hope, perhaps, I pray that there is a distinction, because what I sincerely hope for you is that you awaken from the dream of the reality they're giving you into the great truth, the light within you, that you already have everything you need, that none of this stuff ultimately matters, that you have the power and the ability to reform your life, particularly in conjunction with others, and especially if your goal is not always pleasure and self-satisfaction. And I'm saying that to myself as much as I'm saying it to you, because I don't think I'm any better than you. I live in the world you live in. I feel the emotions you feel. I'm distracted in the way you're distracted, but I do believe that together we can change it.
In a lot of ways, they might mimic the way they dress. People with this disorder actually take on the identity of the people they're spending time with because it's comforting.
Let's see how the print media regarded it. The Guardian. The unedifying testimony provided by a succession of AIDS agents, concierge doctors, psychoanalysts, housekeepers, doormen and bodyguards has left the impression of an appalling lifestyle environment that might have been brought to account sooner if there were fewer resources and enablers to support it. I would have required that each of them be in an abstinence-only program with random drug tests that confirm their level of sobriety, and I would have required both to do 12-step work, said New York therapist Darcy Sterling. As a person in a 12-step program myself, the details of which I do not talk about publicly, but generally I find it helpful to talk about as part of my own commitment to spreading a message, is that we must find a way past our accreted trauma so that we can become the people we truly are and be of service to others. While my own life is an ongoing struggle against selfishness and self-centeredness, through practicing these principles in my affairs, I do become free of many of the challenges of behavioural addiction and substance misuse that dogged my life for many, many years. So seeing the spectacle of people who are perhaps in the grips of some form of addiction based on what they have said themselves and based on what's come out throughout the trial, I would certainly say that a 12-step program is a way out of it. And also the fact that it's a good reminder for the rest of us that the lifestyle of celebrity fame, the paraphernalia, the apparent glory is a simulacrum, as a kind of a synthesis of beauty rather than beauty itself, which can only be found by engaging inwardly and living a life of purpose and meaning. But you don't need me to tell you that. The step work is the work that deflates the ego, the arrogance, the propensity to view oneself as a victim with no role in the consequences of their life, so they could come together without pointing fingers at the other. Others have fretted that the trial, coming soon after the Will Smith, Chris Rock Oscar slap, has brought the entire construct of Hollywood celebrity into disrepute as a dissertation on fame as a personal curse reenacted in a suburban courtroom. Certainly it's done that job. If you think the origins of drama and theatre come from the same ignition as religion, certainly in terms of classical theatre and classical religion. One is the pagan and shamanic impulse to transcend and alter states, and the other is the impulse to render that in the form of narratives and storytelling that help us understand our own emotions, our own relationships, and our own conflict. It's like there is a deep truth available here, but one of those deep truths is that we've become distracted by something that exists primarily for, economic reasons, and indeed to distract us from real meaning, rather than directing us towards real meaning, which Aristotle in Poetics describes as being the point of drama, the point of tragedy, the point of theatre, to highlight and enliven our sense of reason, understanding, meaning and purpose. Derek Long, assistant professor of media and cinema studies at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, said that movie stardom culturally is less important than it used to be by virtue of the fact that the media landscape is fractured and everyone constructs their own personal garden of interest. Don't be so disgusting. Under Hollywood's old studio system, somewhat reconstructed in the streaming era of Netflix, stars and their images were closely managed and protected by studio chiefs and publicity departments. There were scandals, but morality clauses and studio infrastructure had ways of managing it in the first place, or at least the narrative of it in the press once it occurred. In a pre-Me Too era, there was more of an understanding that terrible things were going to happen, and most of their efforts went into damage control, not prevention, said Long. Celebrity bad behaviour or scandal of any stripe is a lot more in the open now, and scandal has become part of the popular discourse. Stardom has always been about selling the sense that stars are just like us. Implicit in that commodification was good behaviour, that stars were just like you at home. They bake cakes and they use this or that brand of household cleaner. When all the bad behaviour that goes along with stars being human beings is revealed, it disturbs people. So there we are. In a sense, this mad spectacle can be used as a lens for us to scrutinise or at least better understand our own fallibility and our own humanity. We can also use it as a way to detach from the spectacle itself, recognising what its function is, that there has always been an element of deception, that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are human beings, both on scales of fallibility and humanity, both looking for meaning and purpose, both have been sucked into a system that I have some experience of that may not in itself be malevolent, but because of its financial imperatives ends up ultimately participating in systems that require the extraction of certain complex aspects of reality, and that amounts to creating propaganda in the end. It can't tell you the truth. And we want to tell you the truth on this channel, that you are beautiful, but that you are flawed, that I'm not better than you, but I'm not worse than you, that we have to have systems of forgiveness and redemption in place, that we have to have social systems where we connect to one another, where we have shared meaning and purpose, where we're not so dreadfully disconnected from money and power that our own lives feel like empty theatre. So we have to import meaning from screens, because our own lives, we just trudge around hollowed out high streets and main streets, shops that pipe in advertising music, no local businesses, no local community. So we're forced to artificially stimulate that impulse in ourselves by absorbing all of this empty, shallow, hollow, valueless, vapid stuff. That's not value on the protagonists, who I believe are beautiful human beings on their way to the light, but on the systems itself. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. How would you like to see this covered? What do you think is the responsibility of the media? How will Hollywood change? How will entertainment change? What are you going to do with your own life so that you can free yourself from these tyrannising systems? Do you like this channel? If you do, hit me up in the comments below. We read the comments. We want to be in this conversation with you. That's how we're different from that transmit-only broadcast model. We are in a discourse with you right now. Subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, turn on the notification bell. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either one of these ones. Sign up to my mailing list right there so I can stay in contact with you if ever I have complications with this platform. I need to be able to talk to you. Subscribe right now. But more important than any of that is that you please stay free.